Also, and I'm going to let Twitter make the call on this one, Murph. This is what I'm going to do for the first time ever. Also, someone who wants to get in the queue and get on the program today is our friend from Cape Breton, Bruno Marcocchio. Bruno would like to get on the show today. Now, the last time was the most ridiculous waste of airtime of all time between Bruno and I. We don't get along. We just can't. We agreed about a few things on the fishery, and then it was complete blood on the floor, mess, waste of time. Some of that's my fault, and most of it's Bruno's. If you'd like to have Bruno on the show today, send me a tweet. Yes or no. Just say Bruno yes or Bruno no. I'll tally it up, and the consensus will be heard and attended to, maybe, if it's the answer I want. But do you think you want Bruno on the show today? Let me know on Twitter. We're VOCM Backtalk. Murphy, got something?
I was going to say, you have to make an announcement soon on yes or no for Bruno.
Yeah, well...
There's a lot of no's coming in there, isn't there?
Did he call back? Is he call back for an answer?
I'm just watching the votes.
Well, he's sitting in his office.
I'm taking votes on the phone, too. We're getting a lot of no's on the phone, too.
Oh, is that right? We're getting some
Sorry, Bruno.
Well, listen, we don't have to be sorry. I mean, Bruno's a big boy. He knows what's going on here. My tally right now, I got the yeses standing at 18. 18 yeses for Bruno and 15 no's. So it's neck and neck. If you'd like to comment on whether or not...
I got 3 no's in here.
Do you? So I can only use the Twitter. I got to stick to it, Murph. Unless the numbers in there put it over the top in my favor, then that's what we're doing. If you want to hear from Bruno today on the program, Twitter, VOCM Backtalk, follow us there, and it's Bruno yes or Bruno no. And I'm not trying to be unfair, Bruno, because God only knows it's fine, because he can't hurt me. All right, it's time to get the 3 o'clock news. What we're going to do here, we're going to end our Bruno sweepstakes here shortly after the news. What are we going to do, Murph? What do you think we should do? When are we going to close the polls?
Oh, I think Bruno, he's got to get on. He's got to get on.
He's got to get on. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to do my tally. It's final tally. The yeses, 22. Nays, 17.
But he's got to promise to be a gentleman. Paddy.
No, look, he can do whatever he wants. Here's what I know he's listening. So the A's have it. Bruno will be coming on, right? Let's have him up first up after the news, Murph. We'll do that. And here's one of the rules. He can agree to this when he comes on the air. Or not. Going to give him X number of minutes. That's all we're doing. He can go cracked right off the bat. Won't mention the Kool-Aid. Click. Other than that, you can go absolutely haywire. Bruno Marcocchio, right after the news. Don't go away. Hello, Bruno. You're on. How are you?
Good. Well, that was quite the demonstration. I'll be quick.
Good.
Your democracy is apparently gone, with your panel unable to have the data to make its assessment.
What panel is that, sir?
The joint review panel that concluded that they didn't have enough information to determine whether there was a need or whether it was a viable project. Your Public Utilities Board similarly said that it didn't have the information to adequately assess the finances of it. Bill 29 has effectively put all information out of the reach of the public. In fact, your democracy is virtually dead in Newfoundland, and it appears that free speech is going to be the next victim. I'd like to thank all the people that did want to hear what I have to say. I tried to be informative, and your display this morning demonstrates, I think, is a disgrace to open line shows, frankly.
Too bad, Bruno. You don't listen. You come on here and you let me have it. Your informative piece also comes with a great deal of insulting commentary. I take it. I was going to have you on no matter what. A couple of questions, though. When the Joint Independent Panel and the Public Utilities Board didn't have the information required to make a final decision, is it fair to say that some of that inability to provide the final documentation is because it wasn't available and it isn't even currently yet available?
No, it wasn't. It was because after repeated requests, they did not make the information available. But that's not why I called this morning. I'd like to talk about Keith Russell. I heard his comments on your program about mumbo-jumbo on the trail to Muskrat Falls. And then on the CBC Labrador Morning, I heard him continue to make a fool of himself, talking about what a wonderful time for the people of Lake Melville the construction of the Lower Churchill is going to be. Now, oddly enough, there was a fellow by the name of Keith Russell at the Joint Review Panel hearings that claimed he was the MLA for Upper Melville. And that Keith Russell said, "We have issues with the boundary. Nunatuavut government put forward many requests to have the boundary of the project change, to look beyond the mouth of the river and to look into Lake Melville and the Grand Lake out as far as Rigolette. We feel that the traditional knowledge and the effect of the project may have on our culture and way of life have been ignored. Then he goes on to say, the Labrador Inuit I present here in Lake Melville and their traditional knowledge and their heritage and their lineage is not taken into consideration when we talk about a mega project in our backyards. Then we have a problem with it. Now, the hypocrisy of this man, he goes on to think it's going to be that green. Now,
is that a comment from him, Bruno?
Those are his words. I don't
think it's going to be that green. Okay.
Those are direct quotes from his panel presentation. It seems like a different Keith Russell than the clown we've heard on this week. What do you make of that, Pan?
Well, I think politics changes most people. That's an unfortunate thing, too. It does them nothing for their own credibility personally or politically. And when it comes down to echoing government messaging and then being condescending towards someone's spirituality or what have you, I'll make the same comments I've made in the past on this. I thought it was obscene. I thought he shouldn't have said it. Even if people think it, even if the majority of folks in the province think that some of these spiritual attachments to Muskrat Falls are whatever they want to classify them as, it's no place for a politician to say that, especially one representing the folks and Aboriginals in Labrador.
Paddy, on that we completely agree, and congratulations.
I've said that, though. I think that's a realistic position.
I think this morning Keith owes an apology and should prostrate himself at the feet of people like Elizabeth Panashaway, who is continuing to try to literally and figuratively connect the trail her ancestors in the past have with the future by literally walking the young children back and forth along those trails. Those people in Labrador do have a deep spiritual connection that even Mr. Russell claimed at the goddamn panel hearings he shared.
Bruno,
yes.
even if that is true, and he said one thing at one time and is now saying something different, should those spiritual attachments or any of the whoever walked whatever trail at whatever point, should that be legitimate hurdles in going ahead with the project, whether it be hydro or anything else?
Should those be a legitimate hurdle? Don't you think the that the interests and the historical connection that the indigenous people have had with that land should be taken into consideration?
Yes, okay, if everything should be taken into consideration, but would that ever be a reason why these projects would not proceed is because of those stated reasons?
That's one reason. The primary reason is that it makes no sense. It'll lose money and you'll destroy a river. You'll destroy that native connection to their heritage.
We've been down that road several times. I'm asking you a question. You have an answer or you don't. You just say I have no comment. That's fine.
I answered your question.
No, you didn't.
It's one of many factors that need to be taken into consideration.
Should the spirituality and whoever has walked down a certain path, should that ever be a reason why a project is disregarded or does not go ahead because of that reason? Do you think?
If you don't connect to your past, you make the terrible mistakes like the one the Newfoundland and Labrador government is about to make, destroying a river to build power that's unnecessary. This morning about the subsidies that are going to mining interests. There's recall power there when the mining interests want it at a quarter of the price that the rest of the people are paying.
Yeah, that's
and everyone's saying that we need the power in Labrador. You've got that recall power.
But Bruno,
you've got a railway to build. All of the
panels that you quote when it suits you, they've also not one person has ever said we don't need the power. That's the political parties and the people who have assessed the project. So why is it all of a sudden you can quote them when it suits you and not when it's speaking to another facet that somehow supports any development of hydro?
What do you mean? What do you mean that you need the power?
I'm not saying it, Bruno. I didn't do it. I didn't commit
60% of the power off the top.
What?
They're trying to peddle 60% of the power off the top of the power that Lower Churchill will generate.
Yeah, we don't need 824 megawatts, but as hydro goes, as you know, you don't dam piece of the river, you dam it all. Whatever it generates, it generates. If 824 is exaggerated and the actual output is less than the 590s or 710s, whatever, there's different numbers there too. But if everyone who has looked at it says there is a need for power, then if that's true, then why is it fine to quote something inside a report that satisfies you, but then not use some of the other points that are made that may indeed be pros for generation of power, whether it be hydro or any other project or any other process?
There's been no compelling case made. As I've told you, if you address aggressive demand-side management like most other jurisdictions in Newfoundland and Labrador, that means primarily get people off electric heat, pay to replace their windows, and you'll have enough power with the existing power to do you well beyond 2041.
You're saying that I, as a taxpayer, should be paying for someone else to get new windows? I have to pay. Bruno, seriously. Bruno, wait, no, seriously. Hold on. Once again, another question. If I have the money in my pocket to buy new windows and to have my roof insulated properly, all the things I can, you're telling me for those who don't have the cash that I should pay for it because of what? Because conservation of energy and save the planet. I should pay for their windows.
It saves you money, believe it or not.
It saves who money? Me money?
Money. Yes.
So my capital, my money up front to replace someone's windows.
Why?
It can't be explained. It's inexplicable. I'm not paying for anyone to get new windows. I'm not doing it.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
British Columbia Hydro understands that if they defer the construction of one new facility, they've saved themselves billions and billions of dollars.
Who's they? Who's the they, though?
BC Hydro. And what they do is they give people money to replace windows to improve their efficiency so that their peak demand will be shaved. They understand that saves the utility money, it saves the consumer money, and from my point of view, it saves the environment.
Bruno, what about, is that a rebate?
Get through your head so that you can wrap your head around this Muskrat Fall things, because you don't really understand what the alternatives are, Paddy.
Well, I think I do, considering I got the rebate offered by the federal and provincial government for doing energy-efficient maneuvers to my properties. So, what you're saying, is that a rebate, or is that someone ponies cash up front? There's no money out of pocket for those who get the new windows. It's a rebate or not?
That's what I'm saying. If you want to go online, you can find it out yourself. Now,
I don't pay much attention to BC.
What's that?
I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the BC energy rebates. I don't think that makes me a bad person. I'm asking you a question. Is it a rebate
look at what enlightened utilities do to avoid new construction to save everybody money, including themselves, that is BC Hydro, and the consumer, then you have to look seriously at demand-side management. Newfoundland and Labrador is not doing that. Now, let's move on.
Yeah, quickly, so I got to go to the break. I'll give you 2 more minutes.
We have yet to see the DG3 numbers, although they've been in the hands. You and I know that we're going to have a discussion, unless you decide to take a vote before whether or not you're going to let me on the air. But we don't have the DG3 numbers, and they're hiding them.
MHI has them, apparently.
We're supposed to be out. They were supposed to be out months ago.
Yeah, MHI has them. So the government says that Manitoba Hydro International has them.
All right. Now, our friends, LNC-Lavalin, are back in the news this week. They, as you recall, have received $1.5 billion in untendered contracts for the Lower Churchill project.
I think I've heard you say that before.
And a hospital project at McGill University in Montreal. They're now under investigation by the RCMP that Arthur Porter, former head of the Canadian Security and Intelligence Service, who was also head of that corporation, who fled the country, and nobody can seem to find him anymore and answer questions. The Montreal newspapers are saying that the results of this are going to rock the government because of what's going on there with that $1.3 billion, I think, in contracts for that hospital contract. So here you have LNC-Lavalin in the midst of another spending scandal, including over $1 billion, and you and no one else in Newfoundland is going to ask the sensible question,
which is what?
Isn't it time we investigated the $1.5 billion in untendered contracts that have gone to LNC-Lavalin?
We investigated.
They're crooks nationally, they're crooks internationally.
So you say there's been criminal behavior. People have engaged in criminal behavior regarding the contracts given to SNC-Lavalin. That's criminal behavior behind those. Nothing else. Not engineering reputation. Forget the Gaddafi smuggling stuff. So you're telling me that this is a criminal activity
behind it. So I'm asking you, it was the same CEO that was at the helm when all of this happened. So I'm asking you, why are you afraid even to ask the question?
Who says anybody's afraid to ask the questions, bro?
Well, I'm spending $1.5 billion to a company that's clearly in the business of corruption, as they have clearly done internationally, and now it appears nationally. And yet, your only response probably will be to take another vote so that your listeners can't hear the truth anymore.
You know, isn't it a funny thing, though, Bruno, that despite all of your assertions and your view of me that I continue to let you on the show, and we take extensive amounts of time every time. You get to make your point.
Stop patting yourself on the back. Stop patting yourself on the back.
Bruno, you're relentless with it.
It was a disgrace to democracy. It was a disgrace to open line shows, Paddy.
I can hear the jackboots coming down the hall.
Well, you know,
right.
you better hear.
Anyway,
Where's that $1.5 billion gone, Paddy? They're going to be asking any questions. The jackboots will be coming for you, too.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Is that why you don't ask any questions?
Because the jackboots are coming for me.
Why won't you ask the questions?
What, the jackboots and the boogeyman? I can see it now. I'm frightened to death of both. Bruno, we've had our 13 minutes, and you've been on the program again. I appreciate your call today. Your points have been made, and talk again soon, maybe.
Yeah, are you going to take a vote before you let me on the next time?
Might see how I'm feeling that day.
Well, you know, you're awful full of yourself, but
it's
you
my
have no commitment to open line of democracy.
It's my show. You get on it because I let you on it.
Your show, is it? No,
you get on this show because I let you on it.
It's an information show. It's a show about democracy. It's not your show.
And you know what? You just got on, so I guess democracy is alive and well here in the studios of VOCM CFCB.
Just like in Newfoundland, Bill 29 and
Goodbye.
You can't see the numbers. What kind of democracy you got, Paddy?
Goodbye.